On number 2, it says the roots of this quadratic are r and s. Find the roots of x squared plus px plus q equals 0. For the roots of x squared plus px plus q equals 0 to be r squared and s squared, what must p equal to in terms of a, b, and c? I don't know. So let's take a look, and I want to kind of remind you that they're telling you certain things. So let's do that, and I'll write it down for you. And by writing things down, you might see things. And it's so important that as you're writing things down, you might be blindly writing things down, but you certainly want to see things, all right? So the first thing I'm going to look at is ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And this is a quadratic equation. A is not 0. And I'm going to say over here that the roots of this equation would be x equals, this is quadratic formula, by the way. That would be, let's see, 2a. And then you're going to get minus b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac. And I want to kind of remind you that we have certain rules about roots for quadratics. And let me just review those with you. So one of the roots is this one over here. I'll go back to reading in a second, by the way. And the other root is this one over here. So what I want to do is I want to add the two roots together, x1 plus x2. This is what's called the sum of their roots. Well, column down would be 2a. That's not so bad. And then if I add those together, what's nice about adding those two roots together, the radical disappears, and I'm left off with minus 2b. And what do you get there? You would just get minus b over a. And this is called the sum of the roots, by the way. All right? I also want to do the product of the roots. I want to do x1 times x2. And if you multiply those two together, you're actually multiplying by their conjugates. And I'll write it down, and I'll write down this way over here, minus b plus b squared minus 4ac. And I'll write down minus b minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. And then you get 2a times 2a, which is 4a squared. Now granted, notice is that the formula that doesn't really look like a very good formula, but you can multiply that out. And let's do it. All right, they're conjugates. So we're really getting it this times this, which would be b squared. The two middle terms disappear. And what do you get? You get minus this. And what's on bottom? 4a squared. All right, I'm going to keep going with this over here. And these are product and sum formulas. So the b squareds disappear. And we left off with 4ac over 4a squared. And this simplifies. The 4's cancel, one of the a's cancel, and you get c over a. All right? So what I want to do is I want to write down what they told me the roots were. And they told me the roots were actually r and s. These are the roots. So what I want to do is talk about, what r plus s is. Well, r plus s, that's the sum of the roots, is going to be equal to this up here. It's going to be equal to minus b over a. All right, I'm also going to write down the product of the roots, all right? And the product of the roots, r times s, would equal c over a. All right? And what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to I got to go back and read the question again. I'm pretty exhausted with that. I know what r plus s is. I know what r times s is. But then they go on to say, they got this, another equation, and I'll put this one over here for you. I'll put in a little box over here. They have another equation, x squared plus px plus q is equal to 0. And they say the roots of that are r squared and s squared. That's what they're saying the roots are of that. And then the question is, what's the a, the b, and the c? And that's what I'm kind of struggling with at this point over here. So what I want to do is, maybe just write this down. That's just another equation, by the way. And they got r squared and s squared here. And what I'm gonna do is maybe just square this guy and see what happens. So r squared plus s squared plus 2rs would equal b squared over a squared. All right? I'm looking at that, and I think I can write that down. So I got the r squared and s squared. I know I need that. And 2rs, let me write this down over here. So r squared plus s squared plus 2rs, that would actually be, I'm looking at this over here now, it's going to be 2 times c over a, and that equals b squared over a squared. All right? So I'm going to, maybe solve for r squared plus s squared. Wow, what do you get there? Let's take a look at that. That's going to be, let's see, well, maybe I should do it in stages. I shouldn't go so quickly that I'm missing steps here. Let me get my eraser out. Let's write that down carefully. So b squared over a squared minus 2c over a. Common denominator will be a squared. And what do you get there? Let's take a look at that. And I would write down, let's see, that would be b squared minus 2ac. All right? So then I'm looking at that, and I'm going to go back to that other equation. I got probably exhausted everything I need to know about that. And I'm going to go back over here. And again, I'm looking at these things over here. And I want to start writing things down about this. All right? So I'm going to look at it. I'm going to go back to the question. I have to read it again. It says over here, the roots of ax squared plus bx plus c are 0. And the roots are r and s. I kind of exhausted that. They say for the roots of x squared plus px plus q equals 0 to be r squared and s squared, what must p equal in terms of a, b, and c? All right? So let's see if we can, think about that. I'm really kind of thinking about this other equation over here. And looking at it, I'm going to look at this again. And really the question is, what's the p in terms of a, b, and c? And I'll go through this over here, looking at it, and I got the r squared plus s squared. That's the roots, right? And let's just remind you about the sum of the roots. And I'm looking at a different equation, but it doesn't have the a, b, and c in it. But I want to go through this over here. I'm going to write this over here. So I'm going to write x squared plus px plus q is equal to 0. And they want the roots of that to be r squared and s squared. All right? So what I'm going to do is just, tell you what x is. And what's x going to be? X is equal to, let's write that down. And this is the root, by the way. We'll write down in a second, by the way. What are you getting over there? Well, it's going to be 2 minus p plus or minus. You're going to get p squared minus 4 times a times c, which is 4q. All right? So I got this over here. So I'm going to say there's the two roots, like x1 is going to be minus p plus the root of p squared minus 4q over 2, and x2 is going to be minus p minus the square root of p squared minus 4q over 2. Well, let's see what we got there. And they want the roots to be r squared and s squared. So I'm going to say the first one's r squared. Really doesn't much matter. I'm sorry, this is 2. And the other one's s squared. And And that's gonna be what? Minus p minus the square root, p squared minus 4q over 2. And what I want to do is I want to write down r squared plus s squared now. R squared plus s squared. And what does that give us? Well, looking at it, again, the radicals just disappear, and you're left off with, let's see, minus 2p over 2, which is simply just going to be minus p. All right? Do I know what r squared plus s squared is? I do. It's b squared. I'll write this over here. Again, I'm writing this over here. B squared minus 2ac over 2. Again, I'm just writing it down. I'm not 2, but I'm sorry about that. It's just a squared. All right, let me go back to the question again. And what was the question? I'll read it to you again. It says, what must P equal in terms of A, B, and C? I think I now know. So P is equal to 2AC. I'm multiplying both sides by minus 1. Minus B squared over A squared. Put a little box in that. All right? Is that a tough question? It kind of lose track of things over time, but it's not a bad thing to be writing down. You could actually go through that and get that answer. So it's 2AC minus B squared over A squared. Thank you.